Good morning. We are so excited to have you for our first ever launch of
everyone.
Lady Bosses podcast. I am joined by Michelle Cantor, Carol Ward, and our very first guest ever, Carrie. You're going to have to
LeZotte.
Carrie LeZotte. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to be able to do this with Bloomfield Television this morning, and we're happy to have you. And let's get going.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming today. And I know we've invited quite a few of our people with the Informed Lady Bosses Affinity Group. This is how we know one another. We're all co-chairs of the group. Michelle and I kind of started out toward the beginning, and Andrea has joined us recently. And then we have our guest, Carrie, of course. So anyway, but we're really excited to be here, and we're excited to be part of the Lady Bosses Group, which is part of Inform Michigan, an organization that started out as the Women's Economic Club back when the men didn't let women into the club more than 60 years ago, and it became Inform. Now there's almost 5,000 members of the group across Michigan and other places, and we're really excited to be here. So we're going to go ahead and kick off this journey. Michelle?
I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Bloomfield Television, for giving us this opportunity. I think we both feel like this came out of the sky, and then Andrea was like ready to be all in when we proposed it. So we're really excited. Gives us another platform for bringing lady bosses to our community, and we will talk about how women, tools, tips for women to thrive in business, and a lot about, what it takes for each person to achieve work-life balance, because that can look different for every single woman based on her life circumstance.
Yes, that's right.
So we are going to kick it off and have a really great discussion today. We're really excited.
So I can't help but jump in. And I know this is one of our first podcasts that we've done in this room. So I really am happy that you're all here. And while we're doing this, so we have monitors that are set up. And when you see him cut to your single, like if you want to talk to your audience still, because that's still what you were doing, like I'm going to talk to this camera right now because I know that camera's on my single. So and It's giving me my title and everything. So I'm just jumping in, and I know we're live right now as well. Can we cut to the wide camera? And there's 4 people watching. Hey. So if one of you would like to say hello, we can put your comment right up on the screen. And then if you have a question for any of us, we can do that as well. So I'm sorry, but I just had to.
Perfect.
So I just wanted to give you guys a little direction while we're going here.
We're learning as we go. And this is why we thought that Carrie would be the very perfect first guest. Because not only can she talk to us a little bit about over here.
No, camera.
I'm over here.
That camera. That's your close-up. That's your close-up
This
camera.
is my close-up.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Okay. We thought that Carrie was the perfect person. Carrie is the Director of Cable and Community Relations at Bloomfield Television. And we thought, she was the one who really thought of the idea of us doing a podcast for Lady Bosses. And we just thought, what a great opportunity for us to kick off this, but also talk about podcasting, video content, all of those things that we all hear so much about. And obviously, as she's already helping us, she's the expert. So Carrie, let's start by, and look at this. We have our first comment.
Yay.
Hi,
Tiffany.
I love it. Awesome.
She wins the prize.
Yes. Right. So Carrie, tell us a little bit about your story, right? What's your background? What led you to being here on this amazing podcast with us? But where were you before? And I know you've got a pretty awesome journey.
Sure. And Steve, I know if you want to pop in here and just fix the monitor behind us, we're totally flexible about that. And I can keep talking in my close-up while you do that. So I started in this position at the end of June of last year. And when I saw the post, I was like, that just sounds exactly like what I should be doing. Community television, many communities all across the country have community televisions, which are PEG stations, which stands for Public Education and Government. And we do community programming similar to this. And a lot of cable stations are now offering podcasting as one of the tools for community members to use. And prior to this, I spent many years just being a producer director in the Detroit metropolitan area. I have, being in Detroit, you're able to do a little bit of everything, which means commercial work, feature films, documentary, educational. I spent some time at Detroit Public Television. I did 10 years at Comerica Bank, where I managed internal video communications. In COVID, when that happened, I was doing some virtual coaching and for actually some other friends of Inforum. Hi, Angela. Nice to see you. So I was doing a variety of different things. And then I decided to go back to school, get my master's, because being at home during COVID, I needed something to do. And so I started my master's, which involves teaching at Wayne State, which was super fun and unexpected.
Oh, wow.
And then this position came up and I was lucky enough to land it. And so here I am. And really the station, it was never run by a producer before. The last person was a newspaper person and the other one was kind of a community development. So their focus was a little bit different. We've always been producing for transparency, governmental programming, which means trustees meetings. We manage the contract for Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and Franklin, which is the Birmingham Area Cable Board. So we have $1 million truck that we manage that they purchased for us that we use for all kinds of community events. When you see the truck appear in Birmingham downtown, that's us and our part-time staff that are managed. And so the podcast, really, I think it's just the evolution of the programming that we were already doing in studio, and it just feels fresher and it's a little bit more intimate to have it in a space like this. Now we're still kind of under development. We need some audio paneling for the walls, and these chairs I think are from the 60s, but we're
Mid-century.
Mid-century. So we're still kind of updating the environment, but we've now doubled our production space. So what was already going on in the larger studio, that was separated into two kind of sets. And so that is going to turn into a larger production space where I'm hoping, not this year, but maybe next year, we can do some more classes and workshops so that the community can be empowered to do shows like this. And then just all the other social media tools, the digital tools that are available, you kind of don't know where to get started. And so I'm hoping that we can eventually grow where we can do in-person workshops and anyway,
That's
terrific.
That's a
awesome.
Short summary, I guess.
Okay. And I know one thing that Carrie didn't mention is that she used to be one of the co-chairs of one of the affinity groups in Inforum. So she's definitely an Inforum advocate. And so for our Inforum audience, want to make sure that you know that. That's how I met Carrie in the first place.
That is how we met. And when I invited Lady Bosses, when we were just starting to think about podcasting, you guys, they were already producing a show and they just didn't know it. so I know now we just have to sit around and talk about it, but I think it's like having the guests that you had on. I was always impressed by the women that you invited in to give their knowledge about how to run a business. And I just thought if we can capture that so that we can make it more available to people. And so that's what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
Thank you for that. We're excited.
So we'd love to hear your tips and tricks on starting a podcast and that type of thing, and why, it makes sense to do that. What's so important about video? I mean, it seems like everyone has a podcast now, right? I mean, every star, every, TikToker, every person out there seems to have a podcast. So tell us about what makes sense and why to do it.
Well, I think, why not do it, right? Just give it a try. And who knows, maybe something will catch fire and your audience will be interested in watching. I don't really know. As far as podcasts, it just seems like, conversations that can be super targeted and focused about subject matters that people are interested in. That's really, if you are a subject matter expert in something and you're ready to share that, people are interested in hearing more. One of the podcasts that we're starting here that I'm really excited about is more education about the police, because we have an incredible police force here. And I think that, nationally the perception is people are afraid. And I think that more community education about the jobs that they do and who's involved, that's going to help a lot. And I think people are super interested in hearing those stories. Just like recently, the 3 people that were arrested for doing all the car robberies that were happening throughout Southeast Michigan. That was like part of our, it was a combination, but that's a story that, unless somebody's going to do I don't know, 1,000 words in a newspaper, you don't really get to hear the behind the scenes. And I've been fortunate enough in our department head meetings to hear from the chief and hear him explain how things happen. And it's just really opened my eyes to, the way that things work. And so that one I think will, people are going to be really excited to hear that one. And as far as, people expanding on their business, I just think, I'm a video first kind of person. Like, let's put as much video out there as possible. And I think it's a language that everybody is learning to speak now. So,
and it seems like the podcasts are more informational versus promotional, right? If you're starting one, you don't want to make it all about like a big ad on your business. You want to make it informational, it seems like.
It's sharing, it's connecting. I do want to say there's 5 of you watching. Thanks. If you have questions for us or for Carrie, please just put those in the chat. We can see those. I can see those here, and we'll pop them up on the screen. We want to answer your questions about video, content, podcasting, all of those fun things. So please put your questions in there, and we want to answer those as we go along.
I have one thing to build on with that too, that I was thinking about as you were talking about it from a business owner. Absolutely right. Kind of hitting these areas that people are getting more information from, going to, right? Like, I know me in terms of time, like I listen to podcasts while I make dinner because I don't have time to sit and read something. So that's my time. I also think from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective, the more we can offer different mediums for people to receive messages and learn things can be really helpful. It can actually be more inclusive. So it was just something I started thinking about while you were talking about, like, the more ways you can provide your information, right, the more inclusive you can be in doing that.
what are some of your favorite podcasts? What are you listening to?
So I use podcasts for 2 things. I use podcasts kind of for politics and news, and then I use it for entertainment. So I have my Up First that I'll listen to. I have David Axelrod that I'll listen to, who interviews politicians. And then I really, really like Smartless, which is with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett. And
Love that.
and I'm spacing on his name. Anyways, I love kind of the informal conversation that they have and the humor, and then listening to, I always love movie stars. I love I keep waiting to run into a movie star at some point in my life. So those are kind of my 3 big things.
Cool.
How about you all?
I listen to a lot of business podcasts, and I have one. I had a client share one with me. We're 2 franchise owners. I'm in the franchise space, but it's basically 2 brothers who own 30 Midas muffler shops. And they ended up, and it's not muffler anymore. It's just, all automotive repair. And it was so interesting that they started with their parents, and then they built out from there. And so I have sent that to a lot of my clients as, I don't know how to do it in just on the laptop, but I just forward it from my phone to them. And it's really helped them kind of get the idea of how you might be able to build an empire, by starting out small. And the podcast, I have clients that are like that, but I haven't, I probably need to start my own podcast for that. But to be able to share that, because they need to be inspired by people versus, me just telling them what to do or what they might want to do. So it's been helpful. But
when you're talking about that, it reminds me of Car Talk that used to be on
Yes.
NPR. Like, it just
Yes.
sounds exactly like, I know nothing about cars, but the 2 guys were so engaging and they were just really interesting to listen to. And I think that can kind of be, that's what people are doing with their podcast now.
Yeah.
And if you find your target audience, there you go.
And what I love about the fact that this one, we're actually broadcasting on YouTube. And from what I understand now, YouTube, because it's owned by Google, it's like a huge search engine optimization tool. So you get it free, by doing the labor and work to get a podcast going. I think you get a lot of benefit from that.
Oh, and I'll just have to share. So I love YouTube. It's my favorite platform, which is probably obvious for obvious reasons, but they have a new feature that it's pretty recent where you can just pull like the whole broadcast, like what we're doing today. And maybe you guys will want to do that. You can just pull a 1-minute clip. And the 1-minute clip is like your main tip of something or just a teaser. And so that 1-minute clip you can put on, wherever you want, LinkedIn or Facebook.
That. I haven't done that.
And then it links you you can watch the 1 minute. And then if you want to see the whole show, then you can see the whole show. And I've just been finding that when I'm doing some the work similar show to this that I do for the township, I pull that 1-minute clip out, and that really it just gets watched more than
Right.
anything else
Yeah.
because people do want that shorter content.
For sure.
And usually in a half hour, there's like 1 or 2 good kernels that people really want to listen to. So
Yeah. I'd love to hear from the audience if anyone is out there looking for an idea for a podcast, thought about it, because I know we've got some job seekers out there on the in the group. We have people who are already employed, maybe looking to start a business, some business owners. So if anyone wants to chime in, we'd love to hear from you.
And one of the things that because I'm working in PR and marketing, one of the things that I'm often talking to clients about is content, right? Content is what I do. Anywhere that you can put your expertise is where you want to put your expertise, right? And so it's video, it's podcast, it's social media. Like Carrie said, once you create that content, you have this amazing opportunity to share it. You can pull 1-minute clips. You can share it with other people. You have content to put on your social media. You have content to put on your website. So it's sometimes investing in that time to create something, right? I made a commitment to myself at the beginning of this year that every Friday, I didn't do it last Friday. I missed my first one, but it was February. I made it a month, right? Every Friday, I'm doing a PR tip of the week. And the tagline for my business is share your story, right? So I'm doing a share your story tip of the week. So it's PR, it's social media, it's how to really develop that brand. And I didn't have the light setup that I wanted the first week. I didn't have the camera editing that I wanted, but I committed to doing it. And I also committed to myself, like you said, just do it, right? I committed that I was going to do these in one take and not edit them.
Oh,
Because I thought to myself, I know this
that's
is a big
brave.
just
I love
do
it though, because
But
the
it's part of that just
imperfection.
minute. It's
Right?
part of that just do it, right? Like just go for it if you have something to share. And so I hit my camera and I talk for under 3 minutes so that I can share it to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I just talk, I know what I'm going to talk about. And I just say the things I'm going to say because it's stuff I talk about all the time, right?
Mhm.
Usually it's something that I've talked about with a client that week, or it's something that I've already shared. And so I just do this thing. But then, right, I'm giving my expertise in my niche with anyone who will listen. And I mean, I did a video a couple weeks ago. It's 3 minutes about, and I don't remember what this one was on, probably sharing your story. It's reached 2,500 people on Facebook.
that's fantastic.
Because
Fantastic.
Facebook loves Reels right now. So you've got to just create the
Oh,
content.
I need to do that.
And it was
Thank
a
you.
one click, right? Hit my phone. I bought a tripod, right? So I can just hit record on my phone. And I just talk and I hit end and I upload it and I don't overthink it. And I think that's the biggest thing is just step out and do it.
We will have you teach a workshop on how to do that.
Yes. I love
Well,
I do workshops all the time. I love it. Ooh, we have a question.
Ooh, have someone read it.
I'm going to put it up here.
Oh, yay.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, this is from Becky
Read
Russell.
it over there.
And she's saying, I'm interested in starting my own business. I have been in the automotive corporate world my entire career. I am interested in real estate, struggling to pull the trigger on door number 1, open to advice and seeking help with funds to get started. Okay, so not really a question in there. Is there something? Thank you for sharing all
So
of that
advice
and
about-
putting
advice,
yourself
yeah.
out there. Oh yeah, the advice
about
part.
starting a new business.
Yeah.
That's-
So first of all, I think even just the messaging, I think all of us will have something to say about
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
one. But one of the things, and I actually coach women too, and as I've been growing my diversity, equity, and inclusion space and working with women for 25 years in consulting, and really helping women define their professional goals. And it's all about thriving, right? Whatever that looks like for you. So I think one of the things is really figuring out, it talked about struggling to pull the trigger on door number 1, is really kind of leaning into that and figuring out kind of what's holding you back and then addressing kind of those things. And I'm focusing on that because it's a lot about what Andrea just talked about, right? Is that you need to think things through, but at some point you got to just kind of jump in, right? And not seek perfection. And it's not going to all go exactly right the first time. I'm even thinking about you jumping into this role, right? And how many twists and turns and things they have. And so
I need something to do. I'm going to get my master's.
yeah. So, I mean, that would be kind of my first sort of step at advice is kind of have the plan, think about what's holding you back and then address those as much as you can. And then at some point you got to really just walk through that door.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would say that you really want to tap into resources, which is my camera.
Well, when he cuts to it, it'll be that way.
okay, right, that one.
There you
Okay,
go.
so I would say there's a lot of resources out there that
Great
most
point.
people don't know
Yes.
about. I have an entrepreneurial profile, which kind of helps you decide which direction to go. It's free of cost. There are ways to get funding if you do need to get funding for the business. And I definitely can connect you with people like that. No cost for that. And obviously you have to, get funded. But there are ways that you can take advantage of a 401k, for instance, as long as you're able to roll it, and you can roll it into C corporation. It's called Rollover for Business Startup. A lot of people don't know about it. It is not a loan, but it gets you the some of your cash injection that you would need for an SBA loan. With a franchise, SBA loans are very possible if they're approved by the SBA. Usually small businesses, there's different funding paths. And then there's also, through the Small Business Administration, there's two arms. One is the Small Business SBDC, Small Business, I can't remember, just look up BDC online, and they will help. There's Oakland County has a organization that will help, and then also SCORE is a volunteer arm that's part of SBA. So there's a lot of resources out there, and those are pretty much free that to use. So I would encourage you to look at different paths and different avenues that you may not know are out there for you.
And depending on where you're located, right? So we're in Oakland County.
Mhm.
Our county has incredible small business resources. So they do workshops on startups. They do workshops on how to write, grant applications. One thing that I will say, if you're looking for that, what is the advice, right? Is we are in a time that the side hustle is fine. So as long as your current career is okay with you doing some things in your free time and there's no conflict of interest, start looking into what you want to do. Take those real estate classes, start taking those courses, whatever that looks like. When I started my business, I was working part-time other places until the time came that the business could be the business, right? And I think that's one thing that helps it doesn't have to be an all-in. As business owners, we've all kind of taken the steps along the way to get to the spot that we need to be so the business can be everything. It's just do it doesn't mean leap off a cliff. Just do it could mean like step over here while safely tucked in over here, So, the encouragement really is, yes, take a step if you feel like that's what you need to do. And that's that work-life balance I think we all kind of juggle,
absolutely.
right? It's figuring out, okay, where am I? Where do I want to be? How do I balance that? What do I want from my life overall? And sometimes you can take some of those steps while still working full time.
Absolutely.
You can take some of those steps while still investing in your current career and start doing the research and slowly open door number one.
And you could even start a podcast on real estate as a good way to get started, right?
Yeah, start asking questions.
Yeah, because if that's an avenue where you want some expertise, why not start one and start interviewing people in that field? It might get you started off as an expert. I don't know exactly where you are right now with real estate, but there's different ways to do it. So we'd encourage you to do that.
And I'll just jump in as far as starting a podcast and what's available in your own community. So we can produce podcasts similar to this here in Bloomfield Township.
So cool.
For anyone that's a Bloomfield Township resident, Birmingham, Bingham Farms,
So awesome.
Beverly Hills,
So amazing.
Franklin, and or nonprofits, we can work with those folks as well. As far as doing something, I'm really thinking in the future, because our regular hours are Monday through Thursday, 7 to 5:30, and production does happen other times, but I'm trying to figure out how we can make it really turnkey for people so that someone, if they want to talk about their business, have a business focused podcast, that we can have a space available for that at a competitive cost, so that we can continue to support the work that we do here. We've doubled our capacity for production, but we haven't doubled our staff. So we have to figure out how to balance all of those
Right.
things,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So,
always
but,
tough.
I think we're making good progress so far.
So what do you think, Carrie? Do you think podcasts are here to stay, or is
Oh,
this
for
a
sure.
trend?
Yeah.
Okay.
The podcasts are definitely here to
Okay,
stay.
and-
And you'll just keep seeing more and more of them.
One of the things I've been hearing a lot about ChatGPT, the AI tool, where you can
Mhm.
type, write in stuff and it'll have you write for you. And I use it. It's pretty awesome. But one of the things I've heard is that video is really, and audio, those are the really only two ways to cut through that clutter, because ChatGPT can write content.
Well,
for
I'll tell you,
people.
the AI is coming for video too.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh, it
already, yeah.
is?
So
Oh,
I mean,
wow. Tell
maybe
us more.
maybe it's not available to the
Will
general
we be
public
like
yet.
Next Headroom, if
but-
anyone remembers him
Yes,
from MTV,
right.
where
Well,
it's like a little robot.
Yeah,
thing?
there are definitely examples out there where they've taken politicians, like they did one with Obama that was really popular, where they put words in his mouth and took his affect and everything so that it was as if he was speaking. And so I think, going in the future, that's something that we just have to, be thinking about, because it could be something that would be happening overseas. They can create something that you might not imagine. They could put words in someone's mouth, and who knows what can happen. So
Yes.
that AI is something.
Our next
that's another
episode
thing.
will be
Yeah.
a robot.
None of us will
lady
actually
boss.
Right. I want to, Becky, you commented back. I love that. Yes, this is recorded. So it's live on YouTube and Facebook right
Mhm.
now. Carrie can fill in other details that I miss. But as soon as we're done, that recording will be available. So you'll be able to watch this, and we'll share it out with Inforum. We'll email the folks who signed up with the
Yeah.
link.
So I'll just encourage you to like and subscribe to
Like and
Bloomfield
subscribe.
Community Television on YouTube. That's what you would search for, is Bloomfield Community Television. And since the Lady Bosses are going to be doing shows every other month now, we'll be setting up a playlist for them. And so they'll be able to take that playlist and embed it or put it wherever they need to and share it. So I know that they have an email list, and I really want to say that email is also the other amazing marketing tools,
Right.
building
It
your
is.
email list, and then video is just one of the other things that you can add to it.
And Becky, just one more comment. I mean, I can talk to you offline about some of the possibilities for funding and get you started in that. So we're glad to have those kind of conversations. So reach out to me on LinkedIn.
All of us on LinkedIn and
Yeah.
Facebook, you can,
Yeah,
that's part of
connect.
what, Inform does always,
Yeah.
is encourage
Connect.
people to
Yes,
connect, right?
100%.
All right, awesome. We have another comment. Michelle,
Oh,
do you wanna
yay.
read this?
Comments.
I think you
Read it
give
over there.
great advice when you say don't wait for perfection. I spent almost 2 months trying to come up with the right name for my business. Do not
Mhm.
overthink everything. Just do it.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Be
'cause
ready to
all
make
of you out
mistakes.
there, right,
Everything.
have experience too. So your perspectives, whether they're the same or different, provide them. It provides value. As those of you who have participated in forum before, how much those conversations and that different input is valuable. Great advice. Yes. Others have other things to provide for Becky, right? That while we're here together, if they have a quick tip or something, I know she'll connect with us on, but if there's anything quick for them,
Like Carrie's ready to talk.
I have something else I could add. So Johnson Nature Center, which is one of the amazing resources in Bloomfield Township. I've been working with them in Bowers Farm. And one of the things we were just talking about podcasts, and she asked, could we do a podcast that people could walk through the woods and listen to it? And I was like, oh, yes, we can.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, I
So
love
so
that.
just to give people another idea of what, expanding the idea of what a podcast can be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in a room like this. It can also be walking you through a space.
Oh,
Like if
how
you
cool.
had
That's
a big
amazing.
campus that you wanted to give a tour of the campus, that is something that you could do an audio tour of fairly easily now. And I think that's something we'll be doing with Johnson Nature Center in
Oh,
the
how
future. So I'm
exciting.
excited. It's such an incredible resource that's it's only about a mile from this office right here, and it feels like you've been transported. So another one of my internal clients.
Hear that.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
very
exciting.
cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Right. And I think we just need to remember, even the video too, right? That
Mhm.
video can be, actually my sister-in-law's in real estate, right? And so she takes people kind of through homes on
Mhm.
real estate. And so there's just so many ways to get creative. I'm one of those people who hasn't been creative enough. I'm the first to say that. But this is good because even for me, it's motivating me that there's a lot more that I need to take advantage
Yeah.
of and do.
I think it seems like it's the future and we need to really embrace it. And it's sometimes hard. Like for me, before I now do videos on LinkedIn, and I post them on YouTube and that type of thing, which really, when I started with YouTube, I just needed a place to house all this stuff because it's, took so much bandwidth. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this is a great tool. So, but I needed help. I couldn't do it by myself. So, some people can. I'm jealous of you, Andrea, that you just have turned that thing on.
I mean, if you have an iPhone, you have it. Like, that's the thing nowadays, right? You don't have to. Yes, we are super lucky to be in the studio and creating a podcast. But if you have any phone newer than 2011, right? My sister, who will not watch this podcast most likely, she
we'll tell her
upgraded. I know she will, because she loves me. But she just upgraded her phone from 2000. She had an iPhone 7. And just upgraded to the 14. Her mind is blown. Her life is and but
like my husband.
She was still recording video and uploading it to Facebook and YouTube. She, not for business,
She's
but
such a millennial.
I know.
I just say, I hate to say it.
It's true. It's
I'm
amazing.
not. I think I'm a.
No,
Maybe I'm a
I
millennial.
think you're a millennial.
You're a millennial.
40. Is a 40 a millennial?
I think so.
Okay.
I
I
think
think I'm
so.
just
I think
on
you're
the-
the old. You're
I think
older
I'm the old millennial, young X.
Yeah.
I don't know. Someone tell me.
Mary.
But if you have a camera, if you have a phone that has a camera, which most people do, if you don't, then call your carrier. You can get a free one. You can create video pretty easily. It's again that, like, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Think about what you have to say. Think about what you would say to clients. Think about what you would say to coworkers. Just try it. But the same way you upload a photo to Facebook to share with your family, you can upload a video to LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you are. Start where you already are, right? You don't have to do a new thing. You can go where you already are. And then eventually you won't be as scared when Carrie says, do you want to start a podcast? Because we've already done some talking. We've already gotten out of our shells a little bit. So we're not completely scared when she says, do you want to do a podcast as well?
So I don't know how long you guys are expecting to go today, but 36 minutes is what I heard was like the optimum
It is.
podcast
We have
time.
we have a question. Let's answer a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. But this is great. Carol, do you want to read that question?
Okay. How do you store the video content? It seems like it takes up so much space and storage on my laptop.
It does, and you really need an external hard drive.
Yeah.
So let's just start with that. And you really need to be backing up your content as
Yep.
well. So because you don't want to lose it. So I think that an external hard drive, there's so much less expensive than they
They're
used to
not,
be.
yeah.
You can get a 1 terabyte drive for, I don't know, $100 or something. And you might even need to go smaller than that because you wanted to, my husband does computer forensics, and what he's advised is you don't want to get an 8 terabyte drive and put everything on there. It would be better to have 2 4 terabytes or 2 1 terabytes so that you can have one that's the working drive and then back it up on somewhere else.
What about cloud? Do you,
Oh yeah, the cloud is not going away either. But I think that because of people stealing things and having access
safety.
to data, that the trend was really to go to the cloud, and now it's coming back to not being on the cloud as much and having. I mean, you still have the backup in the cloud, but you still to have something, that your really precious things
Yeah,
you want to
that's
keep
true.
a copy of.
and
closer.
my Google My Business page got hijacked recently. And we're trying to get it back. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's a little scary.
Change your
some-
password, everybody.
Yeah. change
Well,
the password.
yeah.
Well, and I think, like you said, as the older millennial in the room, I guess, or the millennial on the cusp of millennial. I don't know what that is. but
Baby boomer. But I'm at the tail end of the baby
I
boomer.
have a hard drive, but I back up everything to the cloud all the time so that I can remove it from my laptop or my phone, but I can still have access to it. So I have
Good question.
I
Good
have
question.
a Dropbox, and then I also have, because I have an iPhone, I have the cloud, like an iCloud. So I pay a small amount a month to have both of those, so that everything automatically backs up there. And then I can delete it off those other places so that nothing's running slowly. But that is such a good question.
Yeah, that's a great
Mhm.
question.
Are there
Very
any
practical.
other questions? I want to make sure we answer any other questions before we're. This was so fun.
It was.
Look at
It
us
was.
doing our
Yes.
first podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will have the information for Inforum is there on the screen now. That is where you can learn how to join Inforum and also join an affinity group, and you'll see the Lady Bosses affinity group there.
And there's a way that you can scroll through all the affinity groups and then put your email information in so you can get notifications. So please, please, please go to Lady Bosses if you like this group and put that information. We're going to be meeting live next month. And our topic is going to be breaking the bias. And we're going to have business owners in different fields that are maybe a little bit more non-traditional female type fields who are business owners. So we hope you guys come back for that. Just look at the information on the Lady Bosses site within Inforum.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Nice job.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate having an audience.